So today I'm going to be doing another one of my very quick unboxing, setup and first impressions videos, and today it's going to be on the new Motorola G86. It can be had directly off Motorola's website at the moment for 250 quid. It's normally about 280, but if you do trawl on eBay, you might be able to pick it up a little bit cheaper. So I'm just going to whip it out the box, go through the setup and just see what this phone is all about ahead of my full review. And to be among the first to see that when that goes live, be sure to drop a subscribe on the channel and hit that bell so you know when it goes live. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is the new Motorola G86. And I've got the phone with 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and in Cosmic Sky or Lilac Blue. So let's just whip the phone out of the box. Try not to cut my finger off in the meantime, that would be good. Oh, and there's just a few other colours that the phone is available in as well. I would have quite liked this nice sort of greenish sort of colour, but hey ho, we have this one instead. What did I not do? Oh, I didn't cut that one. Oops. There we go. So there we are, Motorola G86, underwater, advanced drop protection, ultra bright display, 50 megapixel Sony Litia sensor powered by Motorola AI. So here is the phone, pre-clad in a protective case. Let's just whip that off for a second. And it's sort of got that eco leather design on the back. It actually looks quite nice. Let's put the case back on for a minute. Peel the sticker. There we go. So no screen protector applied, unsurprisingly, and we'll just power the phone on. And while that's booting up for a second, let's just quickly check the rest of the contents. Doesn't take long. You just get a USB-C-A to USB-C charging cable, and there's probably a SIM pin in there somewhere. But let's just pop that aside. So as for the display, you get a 6.67 inch POLED display with 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus support with a maximum of 4,500 nits of peak brightness. You've got relatively slim and uniform bezels all around the outside, and then a punch hole with your 32 megapixel selfie camera. Pretty standard so far, design wise as well. If you look at it against the Edge 50 Neo, the design is very, very similar. So to begin with, of course, you get the usual Hello Moto boot up screen. And you've got the option to set it up from another device or an iPhone or an iPad, which I'm not going to, so I will skip that. Connect to a Wi-Fi network. Okay, so once you've added your Wi-Fi information, it will just go through the rest of the setup process. This unfortunately is, I suppose you could say, the slightly boring and tedious part of setting up a new phone, but is part of it and also part of the excitement, I think, as well. So the next option will be to add your Google information. Okay, and then once you've done that, it will give you the option of who's going to be using the device, you or a child. It will be me using this phone. Let's just agree to that. So once it's sorted out your Google information, it'll ask you to set up a SIM. I'm going to set that up in a minute. And it's set up a pin, so we'll just do that quickly. Set up the fingerprint scanner, which I will do as well. Bloody other phone's having a meltdown, let's get rid of that. So it's an in-display fingerprint scanner, just one of those optical ones, so it's not going to be, of course, as fast as a ultrasonic. Seems to be relatively responsive. They do obviously always put the message on that if you put a screen protector on, you will probably need to re-register your fingerprint just to avoid any misreading with it. Copy apps and data, I won't be doing that just yet. And then just agree to the normal bits and bobs. I won't back up just yet. Leave and get reminder. Obviously, most people will be doing these other bits, so you might want to customize your phone a little bit more beforehand. You might want to transfer your data, but just for the purposes of setting up this phone for the video, I will be skipping those bits. And then of course you can choose buttons or gesture navigation. I'll set up gestures just so you can then see what it's like. And then of course you can have light, dark mode, or transition depending on the time of the day. I will leave light mode on for the time being. And by the looks of it, we're all done. So from the get-go, you can go to your various Moto bits to help you customize the phone. I will go into that a little bit more in a second. But for the time being, here is your Motorola G86. Now, there is an option to pre-install all of this rubbish, which, no, we'll skip that. I do not want any of that. So here is the Motorola G86 out of the box. There is an apps tray already done. So of course it might be a little bit stuttery here and there just while it's downloading the rest of these apps. There are a few preloaded apps on there, unfortunately, which Motorola have become more accustomed to doing rather than what they used to be like, having just a pretty clean version of Android. So whilst that's doing that, I will try and demonstrate some of these other bits. So you can go into your Moto app, click Moto here, and what this will do is it will give you some ways to personalize your phone rather than just going into the settings. So if you go on to personalize, you can go on to themes and you can tweak how you want the phone to look from there. You can go on, or let's just click on there in general. There we go. So your wallpaper and your lock screen, your themes, fonts, you can change those if you want to. Icon shape, I quite like keeping that one, but you've got a few others there. Lock screen information, display and text size. The layout, I do tend to change that to 4:5, just gets you a little bit more space on your home screen. You can even change your fingerprint animation if you want to. There's not that many options, there's only a few. We'll keep it with that one for now. Sound information, etc. And then you can go on to dark mode there as well. Now you can go on to gestures, and then you've of course got the typical Motorola chop to turn on the flashlight, and you've also got the twist the phone quickly to open up the camera. And then there's a few others there as well. Lift to unlock, which we will turn on as well. Oh no, I don't want to do that because I don't want to do face unlock. But typically, set up your face unlock, turn on your lift to wake, and then it will be very efficient at unlocking your phone, although not as secure as that fingerprint, which we will check out in the meantime. Let's try again. There we go. Seems pretty quick. Let's turn that down for a minute, shall we? And then of course you can swipe from the top to get access to your toggles here, and you've got a few extras, and then of course you can hit that pencil and you can change them all around. You've got loads of different ones there. And then if you jump into the settings menu again, you've of course got the usual Wi-Fi and Bluetooth settings, etc. Connection preferences. So you have got NFC for your contactless payments, quick share options, Android Auto, personalize, which we've just been in, display, dark mode. You can change the color reproduction of the display. I quite like having vivid on, it just makes everything look a little bit more punchy. Display refresh rate, smart and balanced, so it will dynamically change up to 120 Hertz or down to 60, depending on what you're doing. Auto screen rotate will turn on. I don't want it to rotate like that. The night light, in the evening, it will just change the screen a little bit orange, so it's a bit easier on the eyes. Flicker prevention, screen timeout, etc. Now, as for performance, you get the MediaTek Dimensity 7300, which, if I just grab the Edge 50 Neo, was the exact same processor found on this device as well. So you get nice performance. It's not going to be, of course, a powerhouse by any stretch of the imagination, but you do get some pretty good performance. 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage with up to an extra 4 gigs with RAM boost. A 50 megapixel main, 8 megapixel ultra wide. And then if we jump into the software, check for updates, everything looks good. So you're running on Android 15 with a May 2025 security patch. Now I think Motorola are offering 3 years of major Android updates on the G86, which of course isn't very competitive against the likes of Honor and Samsung, which are offering 6 years for even some of their budget phones. So unfortunately, Motorola aren't quite as competitive in that space as the other phones. But overall, the G86 looks like a pretty standard budget Motorola device. Of course, I will be dropping a more in-depth review after a little bit of use. Let's just quickly... Oh, I got something like that. Do you know what? We'll take a picture of the Edge 50 Neo. Main camera, ultra wide camera, 2x crop, and then there's a macro mode as well. You've got a portrait mode, pro mode, there's more as well. So you've got night mode, panorama, photo booth, ultra res, video mode. Let's see. I never remember how. There we go. Full HD. So you can shoot up to 4K video at full HD 60, 4K 30 is what you're topping out at there. And then you've got a slow motion video, full HD, 120 or 240 FPS on your slow motion video. And then you've got a 32 megapixel selfie camera, which I will just take a sample. So there we go. Can't really see a huge amount on the screen, but I will obviously be looking at that a little bit more. So that's the 2x crop, that's the ultra wide, and then that's just from that main camera. But let me know what you think so far of this G86. Let's just whip it out of the... I always struggle with these plastic cases. It's not anything spectacular. It's pretty flimsy. Obviously, once it's on the phone, it doesn't really matter, but how much protection that's going to give you from drops, I don't know. But then the phone does have military standard durability and IP68 and IP69 water and dust resistance as well. So let's just pop the Edge 50 Neo out of the case as well. Bit of a size difference, but as for the design, it's very, very similar. Thickness is similar as well. So yeah, let me know what you think of the Edge 50, not Edge 50 Neo, G86 so far. Check out my content on the Edge 50 Neo as well. I've got an unboxing, and depending on when this video goes live, my review may or may not be live. Okay, so that's just my very quick unboxing, setup and first impressions of this new G86. Be sure to let me know down in the comments what you think of this phone so far. Does it do enough in your mind from these first impressions to compete with brands from the likes of Samsung and Honor, all these really competitive devices on the market for around 250 to 280 quid, depending on the offers that Motorola have on their website. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my full review on this phone. Be sure to hit the bell icon so you know when that video goes live, and I'll see you in the next one.